All right, so we're live. Awesome, and of course that's when my heater decides it wants to kick on, but oh well, we'll work with it. And yeah, I just finished filming my Gettysburg Hall video, and that'll be available tomorrow for everybody, and also the third episode of Dark Side of the Labyrinth, which basically Gettysburg. That's up at my Patreon, but on Saturday, because those at my Patreon get to see those episodes a week prior to the rest of the world, that'll be available on Saturday. So all right, so what I am doing today is doing a very brief Q&A. A few days ago, probably, like I think it was earlier this last week, I just did like a little Ask Me Anything, and I said that I would be, since it's Facebook Live before, I'll do a Facebook Live. You can ask me any questions that you want, and I will answer them, and I got a couple of good ones. And so with that is question number one. This came from Instagram, and yeah, just bear with me. I'm just question here. So who are your vocal influences? This was from Kevin on Instagram. Oh gosh, there was a lot of them. I've had a lot of vocal influences throughout my life. I would say my very first vocal influences, of course, were, my grandparents. They influenced me very much as far as just getting me interested in music, interested in performing, and just overall just interested in singing, learning various instruments. And yeah, so I would say they were my very first vocal influences. In fact, I do have some of their recordings. Perhaps I'll convert them to digital format and just share them with people, just so you could see like where my first influences came from. But yeah, but they were my first influences. And then when I was maybe like 5, 6, or 7, my uncle introduced me to Phantom of the Opera, and it was the recording with Michael Crawford and Sarah Brightman. And Sarah Brightman, from that point on, was just like my queen, and she's still my queen. But but hearing her as Christine Daae, that really like had a huge impact on me, just hearing her vocal performance, and of course even hearing Michael Crawford's as the Phantom. And I think, what was the guy who played Raoul? I think it was Steve Barton or something like. Yeah, I think it was Steve Barton. Even hearing their performances, and then like Rosemary Ash as Carlotta, the opera diva. Yes, of course, hearing their performances had a huge impact on me, but Sarah Brightman as Christine Daae really, really had a great impact on me. So did the Disney movie Sleeping Beauty. I was very much inspired by Mary Costa's performance as Princess Aurora. So, and then I also liked Julie Andrews in The Sound of Music. All of those together really, really planted the seed in me, to like kind of get my footing in, as into just performing in general, and singing, and and then I did see Phantom of the Opera as my first Broadway show, like a few years later. And of course, seeing it live was just a completely different experience. And I saw Les Mis, and where I grew up, it was very, very close to New York. So I was able to actually take in a lot of like Broadway and musical theater and everything. So that really impacted me quite a bit. And I was very, very taken by being able to tell a story with song. And also just the costumes and just the lavishness of the set. Obviously a lot of what I do right now, I'm in I'm in a period attire quite a bit. So and then I also got into musical theater. I've done quite a bit of theater in my life. you know, so those things really influenced me. And then when I got into, and then of course as I grew and I got, you know, in like high school and college and everything, that was when I also got into more rock oriented stuff. Like I started out, of course, with the old timey country music of my grandparents, and then into like the more classical music, opera, Broadway, things like that. But then you know, of course, you know, when you know you're you know going through high school and college, your tastes are going to you know kind of vary and everything. And I liked you know like the rock and metal of like especially the European symphonic metal, like bands like Nightwish, Lacuna Coil. I also fell in love with like Dream Theater and those bands. And also, I was the goth kid, so I also liked a lot of like the pageantry and of the goth music. And also, I also fell in love with Celtic music because at that time I was also taking voice lessons. And my voice teacher at that time, she, you know, was schooling me in classical music and opera. But every so often we would take a little break from all of that because it can get kind of rigorous. It's a lot of fun to sing, but it can get, you know, of course, like, sorry, keep my screen up so I could see people's questions. You know, of course, that can get kind of rigorous, and sometimes you need a little break. so she would give me a break by having me sing old traditional Celtic music, and traditional Celtic music like Green Sleeves. That was actually a song that I fell in love with as a kid. I didn't really know what it was, but I just loved the melody. And you know, like Green Sleeves, Scarborough Fair, that's actually a song that Simon and Garfunkel adapted from a traditional folk music. A lot of people think they wrote it. They did a beautiful rendition, but they did not write it. And you know, like Scarborough Fair, and then just some other very popular folk music, like that's within the Celtic realm. And from that, I also discovered Lorena McKennitt, and I've been a huge Lorena McKennitt fan for years now, and she's been a huge influence in what I do as far as just the music and you know, performing my recording. And so she's been a great influence too. So I have a lot of influences, and you know, probably I might not have enough time to get to all of them, but those are like a couple that stand out to me. Now, of course, like I said, there's many others that, you know, like I could, you know, point to, like say if like a song were to come on, and it, you know, and I'd be like, oh yeah, you know, I remember listening to that and having, you know, but but those are the ones that really stand out right now. All right, so sorry, take a drink of water. Okay, so next question. This was also from Instagram. All right. How did you discover coffee over cardio? I love it. How did you discover coffee over cardio, and why do you love it so much? That's from Rihanna, one of my fellow brand ambassadors for Coffee Over Cardio. Yes, I am a barista babe for Coffee Over Cardio. I adore coffee, so that's kind of why, a big part of why I just, agreed to represent them and everything. But yeah, this tumbler here, caffeine loading, that's one of their products. And you know, and I do have a discount code and everything for Coffee Over Cardio if you're ever interested in trying it. But how I discovered it, I basically discovered it via Facebook and Instagram ads. Like, that's basically how you discover a lot of things these days. Just by social media. You know, I guess since I post about drinking coffee a lot, the algorithms then were tricked to me coming across Coffee Over Cardio. And you know, and why I love it so much. I like it because I'm also very much into fitness, and it really does fit with my fitness routine. It's You know, it's a lot of their, you know, products are 0 calories. It's they're very suited to people on a fitness journey, whatever that fitness journey may be, because we're all on different journeys, and all those journeys are awesome. But I enjoy it because even, like, say for instance, their creamers and those, you know, even those products, those parts of the brand, they're also almost like supplements too, because I do, especially since I've gotten more into like the weightlifting part of fitness. I really, a lot of my food, I like it to have a purpose. I don't just like to consume just empty food, empty calories. So like, say for instance, their creamer has some like energy supplements in it, and you know, and I really like that. So and they have these products called Hydrate, and it gives you some electrolytes, and you can put it in your coffee actually, and they have salted caramel for the coffee and buttered toffee for the coffee, and then they have things like candied watermelon and stuff to put in your water, like say when you're working out. But I do like their product. I think it's a very, very unique product, and I really like where it's going. I like the focus of it. I like the fact that, you know, I mean, it's you know, owned by a husband and wife and everything, and I do like that too. I always like to support my fellow, you know, fellow small businesses, independent artists, things like that. So yeah, so that's how I discovered coffee over cardio, and why I love it so much. All right, so, all right, now let me scroll down here so I could see the next question. Just bear with me. Sometimes Instagram is really, really hard to scroll down on. All right, so here, okay, cool. All right, so we are at question number 3. All right, so this is a pretty loaded question. It goes, this is once again also from Instagram. So it goes, many artists struggle with failure, even if it only seems like a failure to you. How do you combat feeling like a failure if you experience it? Yeah, that is a very loaded question. But it's a good question because, you know, a lot of us experience, you know, just times where we don't feel like we're performing up to par, or maybe we're having an off week, or maybe, you know, just not a week at all, and, you know, we're just kind of struggling to get through. And I think I talked about this briefly before in one of my live streams about how being in quarantine kind of made me shift my focus from and just be, you know, just kind of focus, instead of like trying to get my entire checklist done. You know, that's okay if I miss, you know, like miss a couple and I don't get them all done. You know, I can always, you know, carry it on till tomorrow. One thing I tend to do is I tend to give myself like the most to do in the beginning of the week, and as the week tapers on, you know, my checklist gets less and less, so that way if I don't get it all done, you know, the whole thing done early on, and then I still have like some like room to, you know, some breathing room to just get it done throughout the rest of the week. I don't know, that works for me. I don't know if that would work for anybody else, but but I've kind of learned to not be so harsh on myself in that respect. If I don't really get everything done that I would like to get done, or if I feel like I'm falling behind a little bit, what I do is I just, I love my checklists, I love my planners, so what I do is I just kind of, you know, just kind of sit down, I just reassess things, and I figure out, you know, how I can kind of get back on track with everything. And, you know, and sometimes you also kind of have to learn to say no too, or, you know, or later, you know, or no, I can't do that today, but I can do that another day. So I don't know, like I said, I mean, I used to kind of look at, you know, myself as kind of failing if I didn't complete my entire like checklist in a day, or I didn't complete complete like a whole song, within like the 2 days that I wanted to complete it. But now I am a lot more easier on myself that way. So I've kind of learned to take failure out of my vocabulary, just because that to me, like, so for me, it's not necessarily a failure. It's just kind of like a bump in the road, or maybe like a minor roadblock that I have to, try to like navigate around. But I know, like I know that is a struggle for a lot of artists though, because, we, a lot of us are perfectionists, and, we want our work to be, just perfect. And one saying, I heard somebody say this before, I forget who, but sometimes you kind of have to go with the principle of better done than perfect, because sometimes like you can perfect things so much that you never get it done. And of course, I mean, you can always go back and tweak things later, but if you say that you're going to release something on a certain day, you better release it on a certain day. And so it's kind of like I said, it's kind of something that's different for everybody. It's a situation that's different for everybody. But you kind of have to learn to just sort of like roll with the punches, and just like I said, just if you have to take a couple things off your plate, take a couple things off your plate, and many of us, one thing I've learned to do is like work in seasons, like what season am I in? And a season can be, okay, you work on one thing for an hour, and then, that's it, you're done with that, then you work on another thing for another hour. Or sometimes a season can be a whole year, one whole year you're going to be in, album writing mode, and then like the next year you're going to be in, book writing mode or something like that. Like, even like the length of the seasons can vary. But, but it's just kind of like, you just have to assess what needs done. Sometimes it helps to get the most difficult tasks out of the way first, the ones you really, really don't want to do, but you have to do them. And sometimes it's the tasks that you're the most resistant to, you're the most resistant to, that those are the ones that really can like do you a lot of good and move you on to where you want to be. So, I hope that answered your question as far as how I combat feeling like a failure if I experience failure. And like I said, I've learned to just view it as more of sort of like just like a bump in the road, or like maybe a detour. And to me, I think the only way you fail is if you've like completely just given up on given up. So so I just, like I said, I just try to not be so hard on myself, and that's been quite a mental shift for me too. So, all right, well, thank you so much to everybody that tuned in, and I'll have like I said, I have my Gettysburg haul coming out tomorrow. That's going to be on my YouTube channel as well as here, and my other platforms as well. And also I'm going to be, like I said, on my Patreon, I already have the 3rd episode of Dark Side of the Labyrinth, but then it'll be released to everywhere else on Saturday. So yeah, but thank you for joining me. Thank you so much, those that submitted questions. I'll definitely try to do this more often. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed seeing your questions, and I yeah, definitely hope to live stream and hang out with you again soon. All right, so I hope you have a lovely evening, and I am going to I have a bunch of stuff I need to do, so I'm going to go and finish doing them. All right, thank you very much once again for joining me, and take care. Have a lovely evening. Bye.